Hi, everybody. My name is Donna Gorton. Welcome to my show, Willows Bend. Tonight, we are going to be covering Apportation, it's been renamed. We're going to get into that once the show starts and everybody gets here. But for now, we'll just for everybody here, right? And again, I'm still making tones on my phone, even though I shut everything off on it. Do it up. Here we go. That should hopefully end it. There we go. Hopefully. I go through this every week. I shut off all the notifications so it doesn't make noise during my show. And then every week it ends up doing it. So anyhow, so let's wait for everybody to get in here. For those who might be new to me or on YouTube, perhaps, I do monitor the chat from my Facebook group, The Willows Bend. So if you see me looking off to the side, I'm monitoring the chat there. All the chat ends up showing up there, or within my group, I should say. So here we are. Let me tell everybody hello in there as well. And then we'll wait for everybody to come on in. There. Okay. I don't think it's not showing me anyone's here yet, but sir, we'll give it a sec. Sometimes it takes a minute. People get waiting, you know. So yeah, tonight we are going to be discussing Apportation. I didn't know that it had gotten renamed over the years, but apparently it has, which is okay. I'm still probably going to call it Apportation anyway, out of habit more than anything else. But so, geez, where's my Willows Bend crew? I'm on the air, guys. There's Sandy. Hi, honey. I just was like, okay, where is everybody? So we're going to wait another minute for everybody to wander in and before we get started. And even then, there's always stragglers. We know that. So I will go ahead and get started doing the sage blessing. Hi, Mary. And that way that's done. And then by then, hopefully, more people will have meandered in. I can get the fan, or the fan. Yeah, get the fan lit. Like that, with the fan on. It's not hot here. It's just, it gets stuffy in my apartment. If I get bustling around, which I was before I got on air, then I like to have moving air. And it's too chilly to leave the windows open tonight here in New York State, I should specify. There we go. Yeah, don't catch me on fire. All right, so with this sage, I cast a circle of protection around anyone who is entering the show tonight. Hi, Ted. May they be protected from any ill will or harm, and may that protection follow them out into their personal and private lives to keep them safe there as well. And it also covers anyone who may watch the show in the replay. So I will it, so mote it be. There we are. Fire it up, Sandy. Always. Okay, off to the side there. I can do its smoldering thing. Yep, doggy on the move. He's why I was running late tonight. Yeah, Jake. It's all his fault. You are very welcome, of course, Sandy, always. Watch your balance there, son. So anyone who might also be viewing new to me or after the fact, elderly Jake is weeble wobbly on his feet, so he weeble wobbles on the bed and try to keep him from falling down. Come on, buddy, get settled and pick spot. I have to lean out of his way because I would rather him go this way than the other way because the other way takes him too close to the edge. Come on, pick a spot and get settled. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Whoever wanders in can watch the replay of the first few minutes, I guess. So I'm going to focus a lot on reports of Apportation. What it got renamed is disappearing object phenomena. Somewhere along the way, I couldn't find like a start date of when that term started getting used for it, but I still know it as apportation. So I'm probably going to be more overall referencing it as that tonight. But if you hear that phrase, disappearing object phenomena, that is what it's talking about. The same thing. It's apportation. Hey, Marianne. So what is it? As we always start out every show defining whatever we're going to talk about, so everyone's on the same page. So it is from the French word meaning apporter, meaning to bringing means, bringing an object. It appears, but when it wasn't previously there, often associated with poltergeist or seances. It's never been reproduced under scientific conditions for the most part. Hi, Stace. So that's kind of it. That's what it is. So basically moving an object and bringing an object in where it wasn't there before. Now, it can also be the removal of an object as well. So it's not just things magically appearing. Hey, Karen, how are you, lady? But it's either the removal or the showing up of objects that weren't previously present. Hey, Sandy. So it first became popularized. Oh, driving. Well, you're not usually out and about this time of night. I was wondering about you, though, where you were. So apportation first became popular with the age of spiritualism. So we're going back towards like the late 1800s, early 1900s time frame when spiritualism first, started getting to become a popular thing to do, and almost like a time passer. Oh, gotcha, Sandy. Well, I'm glad you made it home safe. Now there were, of course, there's always bad apples. I don't see Alec, but hi, Alec. If I missed you coming in, I will say hi to you. So there's always bad apples in every bunch, especially with, oh, there's Alec. Hi there, sunshine. Long time no see. And Nancy. I feel like I'm like the old romper room where I see so-and-so and so-and-so in my magic mirror. So there's always bad apples in every group, especially dealing with psychic phenomena. And there were those that definitely did that during the early years of spiritualism because it was a moneymaker, like to become known as a famous psychic medium and bring that fame and fortune that way was a big thing back then. So unfortunately, it gave everything a bad name. But oftentimes there is a psychic medium present when things get apported, but it doesn't have to be. So it can be even as simple as your car keys go missing in your house. You know that you always leave them on the same table when you come in the house and you go back to take care of them, and then boom, they're gone. But then they turn up, later on in a totally unrelated place that you never ever put your keys at. You're a creature of habit, where you left them, and then they turn up somewhere else. So it doesn't have to have a psychic medium involved, but a lot of the earlier experiments with it did, just so people are aware of that. So common objects that got apported were stones, things like flowers, perfumes, animals even, which is kind of crazy to me. And they're said to be gifts from spirits. Again, we're talking about the age of spiritualism, where in the middle of a seance. So you'd have a psychic medium and they would suddenly, voila, pull something from under the table, oftentimes, or hidden within their clothes even, which is kind of crazy to think about, but they would. So again, there's a couple examples of some frauds that took advantage of things. But it would give you an example of how it kind of played out. So I guess it originally started during seances from a man named Charles Bailey, who lived from 1870 to 1947. He got busted producing 2 live birds out of thin air, but he was caught when the bird dealer was found in his crowd, like a crowd of people watching. So they kind of said, oh, he's the one giving you the birds. So, and, a lot of times magic tricks, things like that, sleight of hand were employed in a darkened room where you couldn't see exactly what the psychic medium was up to. It's kind of like nowadays where you get like Facebook, perfect example, where you have people who are readers and then there are readers, those who have been doing it for quite a long period of time. They're experienced, they know what they're doing and talking about. Then somebody who sits there and, is doing cards or something, professing to be a reader and, experienced, but they still have to sit there with a manual to read a book on the cards they're doing, that type of thing. So you had the same thing back then. It's been going on forever, really. Hey, Kim, it just kind of waxes and wanes in popularity. So an example of a fraud was this woman named Frau Anna Roth. So in March of 1902 in Berlin, Germany, police actually interrupted her seance by grabbing her hands and wrestling her to the ground. Can you imagine a scene in the middle of a seance of the cops busting in and like wrestling this woman into the ground? She was found to have 157 flowers and lemons and oranges stashed in her petticoats. I don't make this stuff up, folks. I can't imagine, it was sitting anywhere near comfortably or not bashing the flowers and the fruit, but that's just what the research said. 157 flowers, lemons, and oranges stashed in her petticoats. She was arrested and went to trial, being charged with fraud, and got imprisoned for 18 months. She went away. They threw the book at her for that one. I suspect that she had like other, they've been watching her for a while, probably, maybe even had, separate charges put on her. 18 months just seems kind of a long time. But then again, it is Germany, so different rules than what we have here in the United States. So other cases had people hiding things in their, I kid you not, I don't make this up. They hid stuff in their vaginas or their anuses to be, quote, apported during seance. Hey, Aaron. Now, I cannot imagine reaching up into yourself and pulling out an object and having it go unnoticed during a seance. That I think that involves a tad more flexibility than I possess. But this is the stuff that would go on. And again, kind of give people a bad name. And it really, when you think about things like this happening, it really isn't a big surprise where the public has such skepticism regarding psychic mediums and such because of this type of stuff. I mean, this is what gave people a bad name and made it harder for those who are valid readers to do their practice because of this. So, hiding cello, I don't know if they had cello back then, hiding things in their hoo-has and pulling it out during a seance. I mean, I don't even know how you would do that and have it go unnoticed during a, where everyone's supposed to be having hands on the table or holding hands, especially. But this is the type of stuff that went on. Now, we've all seen those pictures, or many of us have, where they have all these photographs of that. And we've talked about it in Willows Ben shows before regarding gauzy fabric used for ectoplasm or big, like chunky blobs of cotton that would be coming out of someone's mouths, or the strands of cotton and stuff, and it would be photographed. It's very obvious that it's nothing real. And in all of my 30 plus years now in spiritualism practices, I have never, as a psychic medium, thankfully had things come out of my mouth or nose while I'm doing readings for people, just saying, or out of my hoo-ha for that matter, or my bum, not a thing. Maybe someone else pulled it out for them, someone under the table. Would you want that job, Sandy? I wouldn't want to be responsible for that. I'm just saying. No, it is. We've all seen those photographs, I think, or many of us have, where it shows the psychic medium and they're kind of like slumped in their chair with their eyes closed over the difficulty of the situation. And they have this blobby gauzy fabric or blobs of cotton coming out of their mouths. Yes, but you like that? My hoo-ha is my name for, or ooh-ha, exactly, my way of discussing it. So, examples and stories of actual apportation that have occurred to everyday people is a lot of what we're going to cover tonight. And I just got kicked out of my group. What the heck, Facebook? Unless my signal wonkied again. which, you know, it has happened. Let's see if we can get me back again. There I am. Okay. Hopefully it didn't disappear for you guys. I just, my phone went blank, and well, not blank, but it kicked me back out to the screen where you choose what group you want. I am here. Good. I would not want to have to stuff the things in those places either, especially flowers or lemons and oranges. I mean, can you imagine? No, no good. No bueno. So there was a gentleman by the name of Brent Swanser, and he was, you know, doing stuff back in the old PC days. Jay, please get settled, honey. You know, we all used to have those desktop computers, and that was our only form of computer back when computers first became popularized. Remember floppy disks? Depends on the money. Well, Karen, you can be our demonstrator for that. Come on, Jake, get settled. Go easy, baby. Don't fall, please. Come on, pick spots and get settled. Go where you're gonna go, dude. Jaker, come on. Really? He's gonna go do what he's gonna do. Okay, so remember the days of floppy disks when that's how you stored your information you wanted on the old PCs. So his computer notified him he needed a new floppy disk. So he had taken the existing one out that was full. Yep, I actually still have some, believe it or not. Yes. So he took the disk out of the disk drive and he laid it on the desk next to the keyboard. He's very clear on him having done this. And his mom had called him out of the room, and he returned a few minutes later after seeing what she wanted. The disk wasn't where he left it. After looking everywhere for it and not finding it, he left the room bound and determined that no matter what, he was going to find this damn floppy disk. It was, you know, bothering him. And as it would probably any of us, we would be frustrated by that. So he was determined he was going to retrace his steps, which many of us use that technique too when we lose something, of going back where we started, coming back in, and then following up the exact steps we took. So he went out and did that, and he still didn't find it. Well, now it's personal, and he's getting angry. So he left the room for the third time, and he was going to yet again retrace his steps, you know, the definition of insanity, of doing the same thing over and over, hoping for different results. So he went to do that, and upon returning, there still was no disc. By this point, he's getting, you know, mad. And so he sat down at his desk, all frustrated, and he said, okay, start back at the very beginning when I took the disk out of the system. So he went to make the move like he was going to take it out, and he sees something stuck inside the disk drive. So, and he has, you know, a little door held open there, and he gets a flashlight out. That very well could be what happens to your pens and pencils and car keys. So he sees something in there. So he opens the door and he gets flashlight out and he pulls it out. It's his missing disc, except it was in backward. He thought, he even heard a faint chuckle after he found it, like, you know, if it was a spirit that had hid it in there, that they, you know, were playing a prank on him, and they thought it was funny. He still to this day swears he heard the chuckle when he located it. He said previous to that, he had never known of any known spirit activity in his home. I mean, could it have been a loved one popping in to play a prank on him? Yeah, maybe. I mean, they can do that. So, but that's, he says he swears to this day, you would, on a stack of Bibles, that is what happened to him. So then there was another story that this person wanted to remain anonymous, as many people do when reporting paranormal happenings. You guys are funny. So this woman, she says, 2 nights ago, my husband put his wedding ring on the nightstand before going to sleep. Why he would take it off before going to sleep, I don't know. It's just what she reported. Go ahead and get up. I'm in the middle of my show, so don't be interruptive. Please don't. Or you're going to be standing for the duration of my show. You just came in. Not cat food time. Nope. I'm ignoring you. So he put the wedding ring on his nightstand table, and in the morning, the ring was missing. She says, I helped him search the entire area without any luck. I figured he misplaced it elsewhere. I had to leave for my evening shift at the hospital and figured it would show up eventually. 2 hours later, I get a message from my freaked out husband who walked into the bedroom to find the ring sitting there in the middle of the nightstand as if it had been there the whole time. We can't explain it. We had no visitors. We have no pets. He never left during the period between me leaving and him finding it. He thought it fell through a tiny wormhole or time warp. I'm looking for a more rational explanation, but coming up empty. So that is actually one of the theories of apportation. Is it somehow crossing time and space in the materialization process or dematerialization process, that it's modifying it on a molecular scale in order to transport it somewhere else or to bring it in from somewhere else? And if you excuse me for 1 second, I'm going to turn my fan off now. You can keep standing there, but your legs are really bad tonight, and it's a bad choice on your part, Jake. But hey, as we know, free will and all that. I don't want to lay the camera down. I don't. You're in the middle of the show. I'm doing this here. Can she reach it? She should be able to, if we slide it my way. Sorry, guys. There we go. It was just getting a little too cool. Come on up. Don't be difficult. Just get up. I'm in the middle of a show. No cat food, no out, no nothing. Did all that before. No cat food. Too early. Go away. Move out of the way. Move, move, move. Sorry, but not sorry. Go ahead, Jake. You're starting out earlier each night. And do you see yourself getting it that early any night? Nope. No go. Yeah, he's bored, I think is what it is. But I'm gonna ignore him, and if he wants to destroy his legs, I'm not gonna have a screaming match on air. So that is one of the theories, is something happening to it where it's passing through something like a time warp or something. But they couldn't figure out any other explanation for it. Some even wonder, is there somehow, like some way, that these items are going invisible and are still there technically, but we're not able to see them. Attic. I don't know what you mean, Renee, unless I missed a comment. So the same woman went on to say, and again, remaining anonymous. Yeah, no bueno, Jake, exactly. So she said, in my case, meaning when something like this happened to her, I was in the kitchen when it happened, and a kitchen knife disappeared while I was preparing lunch. I've searched everywhere, all logical places, trash cans, kitchen drawers, behind things, also unlikely places like underneath furniture, outside the house, and place no one would have remembered where, like how it would have gotten there or to think to put it. The fact is, even if I thought of and searched everywhere, the knife was nowhere to be found. A few days after the event, I still could not wrap my brain around the strange disappearing knife act. There doesn't seem to be any logical, quote unquote, explanation as to what could have happened when you're leading up. Oh, gotcha. Another woman writes, it was the night of fresh homecoming. I bought 3 dresses, which most girls can't afford that, but if she could, bully for her. I bought 3 dresses a few days or so before, and I'm planning on wearing a simple black and white one, nothing fancy. I went to my closet an hour or so before the dance to get ready. The dress was not in my closet, not in my closet, or even though the other 2 dresses are still there. One dress I wanted wasn't in my closet. My mom and I searched everywhere, but still couldn't find it. My mom finally said I had to wear one of the others, so I chose one of the white ones. A day or so after the dance, I went to my closet to find a shirt, and the black and white dress I was going to wear for the dance in the first place was the first piece of clothing on the figure. Go ahead, you're welcome to join us. go ahead up. You're welcome to join us, but I'm not fighting with you on air, and we are not doing cat food because it's way, way, way too early by like 3 hours. So nope. The next one is from a woman named, well, she called herself Mrs. K, and I just went really, really bright again. Trippy, right? It's like overwashed white on my end. Very bizarre. Mrs. K says, always had the habit of leaving her keys on the table as soon as I entered my apartment. One day, I did this as usual, but when I went back to retrieve the keys, I found them they're not there, and I couldn't find them anywhere no matter where I looked. My Green Man backflow burner is still missing. Uh-oh. Yeah, he doesn't get up that easily, Mary. I have to like scream on him like I do in book group. And I'm not going to do that when I'm being broadcast globally. So we're not doing that. Well, that's your energy interacting with the things in your environment, Ted. Apportation is different. So it's when objects appear or disappear. So it's not as much that they're burning out or exploding or whatever. It's that they're just appearing and disappearing. So she looked everywhere for her keys. No matter where she looked, she couldn't find them. Poltergeists can be responsible, actually, Aaron, or it's thought that they can be. And all a poltergeist is technically is a noisy spirit. That's the true translation of it in German. It's a German word. So she found herself needing to have all of her keys remade. Yes, but you mentioned something about your light dimming in and out. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, it's been doing that the last couple of shows I did, and somebody suggested it might be spirit activity. And I do get transients that come through here all the time. See, now I'm back to normal, but mess with computers unintentionally. Yeah, I affect electronics too, but like I said, your energy is different. I don't tend to affect things like lights at all. Batteries, yes. So anyway, she went to have her keys remade because no matter what she did, she still wasn't finding her damn keys. Which must have been excruciatingly frustrating, considering I'm guessing her car keys and stuff are on there too, and I just got afraid again. Whatever. Several days later, she found herself needing a new cork for a medicine bottle. These she kept in a tin box she almost never opened and hadn't needed one for a long time. Yet when she looked in the tin for a cork, there was the missing keys, placed nice and neatly inside. I would have certainly never thought to look in there. Obviously, that's not somewhere she would have intentionally placed them. And, she says she rarely got into this because it just held corks. Who would think to look in a tin holding corks for your keys, especially when you are a creature of habit and you always leave them sitting on a table when you get home. Phone was acting up when I was going through a huge energy download of my body earlier. Yeah, that can happen. And like I said, energy can impact electronics and batteries and things like that, but I don't tend to affect the room lighting. Yeah, there are people who do it intentionally and unintentionally, Marianne. You're not getting what you want, so don't argue, Jake. It's not happening, son. You can get up or stay standing, your choice. Not fighting. I invite you to resume your position on the bed previously held by you, but if you choose not to, that's your choice. So there was another gentleman named Raymond Bayless. Put my coffee in the fridge. I do that with things too, or go to put something it goes in the fridge into the microwave or the cupboard. So Raymond was an LA artist who claimed he'd been holding a brush while speaking to a student in 1957 in a room that had nothing in it save for a stool and an easel. The floor was actually even uncarpeted. It was a sunny day, so a very well-lit room, and again, only a stool and an easel in this room. Nothing else was cluttering up the space. Sorry. My neighbor was mowing their lawn right before the show started. I did take allergy medicine, but I'm highly allergic to fresh cut grass. I was sitting there trying to mop up my nose for the whole hour before I started. Come on up. You're not getting what you want. Don't argue. Stop being interruptive. You're being a little blankety blank. I'm being nice. So at some point, both Raymond and the student heard the brush fall to the floor as if it dropped, yet it was not there when they went to look for it and pick it up, nor was it anywhere in the area. Considering there was nowhere it could have gone, where was it? It's like it vanished off the earth. Crazy thing is, the past few days I haven't been craving coffee much. Yeah, I'm really allergic to that. I would say fresh cut grass and dust trigger my allergies the most. House phone in your purse? Yeah, I don't like the smell even because of the unpleasant effects it has on me. It's psychological. Hey, Tanya. So in later years, a researcher of anomalous events named D. Scott Rogo. Now, this name like triggered something in my head, and I spent probably 15 minutes last night trying to place where I knew the name from. Turns out he wrote a book when we did, remember with the show on phone calls from the dead? He had written a book about the phenomena, and so he also wrote a book of his interest in the phenomena of disappearing objects, and he was the first one really to compile a comprehensive list of cases of what he called spontaneous dematerialization. And so he went on to collect a vast array of reports and published several articles on the phenomena in Fate magazine. Now, there are various theories around this, of course, including forgetfulness, like forgetting where you set down an object, things like that, which again, when it's stuff like, say, your car keys, hey, I always come in the door, I set them down here and drop everything when I first get in, and then, it's in a set area out of habit. You're not even thinking about it. You're on autopilot at that point. Forgetfulness doesn't quite, cut it for an excuse. Jake, are you going to get up before you fall over? Come on up. You're stumbling. Don't you think it's time? Come on up. Get up on the bed now and get off your legs now, or suffer the repercussions of not being able to walk. Your choice. Not going to argue, not going to yell and scream. Get up on the bed now. How about now? Anytime. It's your legs, Jake. I don't want to I don't like having to run for you to help you stand up because you can't get your feet under you. So come on up. Just get up, okay? Don't be a jerk during a show. Get out of the way. Move. Come on. You're getting on my nerves. So he wondered, could there be stranger forces at work here? Aaron, you have no idea just how bad he's gotten to be, and just off the wall, unresponsive to anything. So here's where we drift from logical reasons into the world of the unexplained that we love and hold so dear. Could these items have shifted to another realm or dimension, or even parallel worlds? Seriously, how about now, Sandy? So this could explain mysterious objects appearing from nowhere. He also wondered, did the objects become temporarily invisible, or did reality shift? That kind of falls into like the Mandela effect, where we did a quiz on that when we covered the show about it, where we kind of examined all these different things that the majority of people in the audience, we all recalled it one way, but it never happened. And it never was that way, yet we all had this memory of it having been that way. So I think that's kind of what he was thinking about that. Parallel realities do exist. If you can think it, then it exists. Absolutely, it does. But these are things he pondered in all of his writings about things disappearing. After you, Jake, by all means, come on up. Now, get up on the bed and get settled and stop being an asshole during my show. Pardon me, but come on. Now. No, you're not having cat food. Stop it. Go away. Go lay down on the floor then. I'm blocking you from my view. Go away. Go away. Stop staring at me, Jake. Go over there. Go on. It is very, yeah, it's very crazy. I don't have any explanation for that either. So, Aaron had mentioned poltergeist activity, and that is another explanation he considered for this stuff. And there has been objects accredited with levitating objects, unexplained noises. Well, Aaron, honey, that's the topic of tonight's show, is apportation. Just saying. That's what we're talking about, sweetheart. I don't know where you just went, but no, he is saying that, Sandy. That is absolutely what he's saying. And I'm telling him no, and he doesn't like it. So, yeah, the topic of tonight's show is apportation, baby. So poltergeist activity is another possible explanation that they have been before. You're so funny, Aaron. I love you. Credited with levitating objects, making unexplained noises, playing music, having smells appear, and moving objects to other places, right? So spirit activity is very definitely a possible explanation for these things happening. Like I said, a loved one playing a prank to let you know they're around you, if they have a sense of humor, albeit a bit warped. I mean, I don't personally find humor in having an object go missing and the frustration that comes of that being amusing, but that's just me. I'm also not the type of person to laugh when someone falls. So, we know those folks too. So things of interest that are noted in most of these cases of apportation, many instances, the objects that have disappeared or apported in are not things that have a big impact on life. I remember one time I put my keys on the table, went back and gone, cleared everything off and around nowhere. Later, bam, there they are. Exactly. And that's exactly what that one woman reported. So of things that they don't tend to be things that have a huge impact on life. Like it's not like urgent life importance, but it may have personal importance. Obviously, having your keys to drive your car to work, whatever, that's important. Having the keys to lock your house, that's important. A favorite piece of jewelry that has huge personal impact. Like it's really important to the individual, but it's not life-threatening if you don't have it. Depends on the fall. Yeah, I don't find falls funny. My music started twice last night. It scared the shit out of you. Wow, Lori. Come on, Jake, let's go. So oftentimes these things can get dismissed most recently as being a glitch in the Matrix idea, that we live in the Matrix, and just like the Matrix movies, when something kind of goes, it's something like that some glitch is happening in the normal functioning of the three-dimensional reality we live in, and that's what's causing these things to disappear and reappear. Sandy said, it terrifies me to see someone fall. They could have gotten hurt really bad and I wouldn't have been witness to it. Exactly. That's where I look at it too. Ghostbuster time. Sports blooper falls are funny. Grinning slipping isn't. Yeah, but the person still, it hurts when you fall. It's embarrassing and all that. I don't find humor in that. That's just me personally. But anyway. So other cases of object apportation. Now these go back a ways, and apparently this gentleman kept like a journal of this stuff. Like he wrote a book about it or turned it into a book. This gentleman was by the name of Reverend C.L. Tweedsdale, and his wife were often party to experiencing these things. You can get up on the bed now. The answer has not changed. No cat food. Do with that what you want. So his mother had been very sick, and they were looking in on her. And this is what he writes in his journal, and there is a direct quote here coming up. So his wife went to brush her hair out of her eyes, looking at a cut she had on her head. Yeah, any reason a person falls isn't funny. Yeah, I don't find humor in other people getting hurt too. There'd be people that laughed, and I was making sure the person was okay. Yeah, same here. So he writes, quote, Sunday, November 13th. She, his mother, my wife, and I were all in the dining room at 9:20 p.m. We were all close together, mother seated in a chair, myself and my wife standing. No one else was in the room. My wife was in the act of parting my mother's page flip hair from her with her fingers to examine the cut on her head, and I was looking on. At that instance, I happened to raise my eyes, and I saw something issue from a point close to the ceiling in the corner of the room, over the window and distant from my wife, who had her back to it, 3¼ yards and 4¼ yards from myself facing it. So his wife was sitting 3¼ yards, which would be like almost 10 feet away. And he was 3¼ feet away. His wife was 4¼ feet away. So he was almost 10 feet. She was just about 11 feet away from this thing where it came in from the ceiling. Because it's so bad I stepped on a twig and landed my face. Hopefully you weren't seriously injured, Renee. Well, if it's something dumb, okay, but like other people, obviously a fall would hurt like that, and I don't find those amusing, but that's just me. So it shot across the room close to the ceiling, and it struck the wall over the piano upon which it fell, making the strings vibrate, and so upon the floor which it rolled. I ran and picked it up, and found to my astonishment that it was a jar of ointment which my mother would use specifically for cuts and bruises, which she kept locked up in her wardrobe. The intention was evident. The ointment was for the wound. I saw it come apparently through the wall near the ceiling, and this with no one within 3¼ yards of the place. The room is over 9 feet high, and the door and window were shut, the latter fastened and incapable of being opened from the outside. End quote. Yeah, I know, right, Lori? Can you imagine being a reverend and witnessing something like that and what he must have thought about? I mean, so the Reverend went on to record several other instances of things appearing and disappearing, and he recorded them in his journal/book called Man's Survival After Death. He also recalls, quote, on another occasion, 17th January 1911, a shower of articles came apparently through the ceiling and fell upon the tea table in the presence of 6 witnesses in good light. So I'm guessing he was attending a seance by the sounds of that, a tea table. It was very common practice for people, especially back then, who were of proper people, we'll say it that way, to have like an afternoon tea session where you'd have like a cup of tea and an afternoon snack, especially if you were from England, whatever. So it still was practiced. And so I'm guessing there was a seance by the fact that there were 6 witnesses, but it was in good light. So a shower of articles apparently came through the ceiling and fell upon the tea table. On 11th November 1913, a stick 3 feet 10 inches long came slowly through. You can get up or stay standing. It's your choice. No cat food. The solid plaster ceiling in the presence of my daughter Marjorie and the servant in full lamplight, and fell on the table, leaving no trace of its passage. Tea and crumpets, yep. Oftentimes, these would happen with the help of mediums during seances, kind of leading it. So that's why I'm thinking it was during a seance these things happened. But it was thought that there were operators, like the psychic medium acted as an operator to bring things through, as discussed towards the beginning of the show. And again, several were shown to be fraudulent in their activity, yet others remain completely unexplained, especially in an example where, ow, Jake, come on, you're pushing it on my foot. Will you move? Move. Get up on the bed or go lay down, because you're being an annoyance. Go on. Get up on the bed or go lay on your bed. No cat food now, and stop it. I'm doing a show. Do you mind? Yeah, you make your choice, but leave me alone. And stop bothering me with this. Sorry. So these things were coming from a 9-foot ceiling. So obviously, you would notice if someone was monkeying around up there. And again, he's saying that like the stick came through and left no mark on the ceiling or otherwise. It just slowly came from the ceiling, and it was over 3 feet long, almost 4 feet long. So although experiments were conducted at the British College of Psychic Science in 1929 with a gentleman by the name of T. Lin, this is as close as it comes to scientific experiments. So I think, frequently psychic stuff can't be played out in a lab. What if a person apported from your ceiling? Well, I would have bigger concerns over that than items. Falling out of the ceiling is a whole different story than coming out of a vagina. Absolutely, Lori. Or one's anus, for that matter. Or a person. Yeah. I've got to go there, Donna. Don't go there. So these, sorry, brain out of the gutter. These things, these experiments are the closest it comes to scientific study or experiments. It's very difficult to do, test someone's psychic medium skills in a lab setting. You're expected to, it's okay, Lori. Took it to the next step after that. To have these experiments played out in a lab setting, you're expected to perform like a dog on command. That's very difficult under that kind of pressure to be able to get into a relaxed and to do these things. So this is as close as they come. A lot of anuses and wahoos. You mean wahoos? We are adults, but it's not Willows Bend after dark time yet. Close, getting closer. Go ahead. What are you waiting on? You're not getting your way, so stop acting like a spoiled child, because you're not getting what you want. So come on up off your legs before you can't walk. Don't be dumb. Or keep being dumb. Okay, hoo-has, yes. So they did these experiments on this person named T. Lin. So he was searched and stripped and put into a bag. How comfortable is that? So many small objects actually were apported and photographed at the moment of their arrival. So, he was stripped down. Now, whether he was naked or not, I don't know. It didn't say that. It just said he was stripped and searched, making sure he wasn't hiding anything. Oh, yes. No, we do a Willows Bend After Dark, Ted, through the month of October. On Friday nights, I do an extra show each week covering darker, more Halloween-y type of stories that are spooky, scarier, more darker topics on Friday nights, 8 o'clock Eastern time, and just for the month of October. So 4 extra shows for the month. And yeah, because I'm a nice person, just saying. It's our 3rd annual Willows Bend After Dark. So these things got photographed the moment they arrived on site during the experiments. There was a cheap pearl necklace that showed up, a button, a small reel of cotton, a shell, and a screw nail. Now, what a screw nail is, I'm not sure, but it said screw nail. It is fun. We do have fun with it. Aw, thank you, Nancy. A scary hoo-ha story. That's not good, Renee. Yep, Willows Bend After Dark, Aaron, you're right. So during the experiments, the medium lost 10 to 12 ounces in weight. The objects grew out of the body of the medium. Where they grew out of, I don't know. And it doesn't seem like if he was in a bag. Now, I could see as far as isolating him away from, any place he could pull things out of hiding. But put him in a room by himself, rather than put the guy in a bag. Plus, then you can see it happening when it happens. But again, this is back, when was it? 1929. So we're going back quite a ways, but it was the first testing done on this topic of apportation and how it works. You're very welcome, Ted. So in 2013, jumping way ahead in time, in one materialization, so there was a gentleman by the name of Stanley Krippner who was kind of, he reminded the description of him, he reminded me a lot of Stacy Kaminsky's dad, where he's a medical doctor, but he also has an interest in researching things that are spiritual in nature and understanding the mind, body, spirit connection in his practices. So he was also known for his pioneering work, the scientific investigation of human consciousness. Like, he did groundbreaking work in this area. So there's a lot. He was giving a lecture one day discussing one case of the gold leaf lady from a book of the same title by a Stephen Browd. I behaved, I promise, with fingers crossed. Yep, see what happens, Karen? So in the case of the gold leaf lady, so this person, Stephen Browd, who helped write the book, Browd brought a gold leaf made out of copper. Now, I'm not sure, this is what it said in the research, a gold leaf made of copper. So maybe gold coated, perhaps, to a seance with the medium who is known as KM, I guess by their initials. So during the course of one seance, and there was a photograph of it, it looked more copper than gold to me, but you know. So KM produced two objects resembling the original gold leaf. According to spirits during the seance, they'd been made by taking material from the original and substances from the natural and supernatural environment, recreating them in a new object, essentially, that they ported in. So with what many of us know from book group, that is possible to recreate a new reality. So I suppose that is something possible. You were being good, Laurie, absolutely. The answer is still no, Jake, so you're welcome to join us because you're like dribbling all over my floor. I don't want to have to mop again today. I'm telling you, I don't. So come on up and stop being a blankety blank. Come on up. Go ahead. No cat food. Still, no cat food. I'm doing a show. Do you mind? You, my son, are being a jerk. Just saying. I love you, but you're being a jerk. No, I was not staring at her, I swear. Busted. They saw. They did. Okay, so and another experiment, the largest item to Aport was a book that was belonging to Pierre Wheel, taken from his own library, and it had been come up missing for a couple of weeks. He looked everywhere for it, etc., never found it. And during, I guess, a seance or an experiment they were doing with Apportation during a seance, perhaps, it ended up being returned at his feet. It just, like, boom, there it was at his feet. But it had been missing from his own library at home 2 weeks prior to the event of the experiment. Oh, there's been a lot of that. It's very stressful, Nancy. There's a lot I don't say. I'll say that. So more theories about how apportation is or what it is. So it appears that some objects, the majority of them, move through time and space perhaps, but probably existed somewhere physically before materializing through the medium. And again, you know, the science even now says that there's an infinite number of parallel universes out there. So is there a possibility of things aligning just right in time and space where perhaps objects are coming through from another dimension? Maybe. Or another version of us had them in another place and they're sending them forward to us here. Who knows? Whether intentionally or unintentionally, we don't know that. Since we know, for example, that X-rays can pass through a solid object, meaning our bodies, and get pictures of the inside of our body, it's likely that the frequency is thought to change. That a solid object can vibrate at, and then it causes a rapid movement within time and space that can rematerialize after passing through solid matter, which is essentially what these objects are doing. Yes, 90s show sliders, absolutely. Well, it's worse because, he's got dementia. So, yeah, no, he's non-responsive to anything I tell him anymore without screaming at him. And I'm not going to do that on a live show that's being broadcast around the world. Come on, get up now. Get up on the bed and stop fighting with me. Or go lay on your bed. Those are your two choices. Pick one. So Dr. Krippner reminds us that one fraudulent medium doesn't disprove the spirit world, which is true. Ted says, I believe the more we become our true selves, we can be more aware about manifesting what we need in our reality from our parallel realities. Absolutely. Absolutely. So other reports of apportation include from a woman named Jenny. And she says, at our house in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, we noticed one time when my husband Jason went down to the basement, there was a small pile of coal in the middle of the floor, which was not there before. Jason definitely would notice something like this, as he likes to go down to the basement to do, quote, man things, such as, quote, fixing, and in parentheses, she said, breaking items, painting, etc. We have no idea how it appeared, and some of the pieces were pretty big. Now, as an aside, I did see there wasn't a picture also of the coal pile. It wouldn't have photographed well for me to show you guys. Yeah, I figured it must be down near your way, Sandy. There was a picture of it. It just kind of looked like a scattering of gravel on the floor, basically, in the photograph. Like I said, it wouldn't have photographed well to show you guys, so I didn't take a picture. But the largest piece was about the size of a quarter. She did show that for comparison size-wise. She goes on to say, there hasn't been any coal in the house for 50 years, actually, but it did used to be a coal mining town. So I was thinking perhaps the spirit of a coal miner could possibly reside there. They haven't noticed any other activity in the house. However, this random pile of coal apporting into their basement. Now, I can say that the rest of the floor in the photograph looked very clean and clear, and so it wasn't amidst a pile of junk or something that this thing turned up on, and it would have been very noticeable, and it wasn't something that one could miss. Someone who wanted to remain anonymous said, I made the bed in the morning, and when I turned away for a second, then looked back, there was a single folded gold earring on the bed that wasn't there a minute ago. I despise gold, so it wasn't mine, and no one I know likes gold. Another time, a feather came floating down onto the carpet from thin air. It wasn't a pillow feather. This one was brown and white and medium size and so soft. I still have it. I remember we used to heat with coal. Yeah, lots of people did. Some people, too, also report when they demand out loud for an object to be returned, it does turn up. I used to have that happen at my house a lot. Now, it turns out that it was my mom hiding things on me, but I used to think that, I used to call it the house spirit for lack of any what else to call it. But random things would come up missing, and I'd be like, all right, house, I need this back. This is important. And within a couple of days, it would turn back up. Typically, most of the time where it had originally been, no explanation given. So I can say that I've experienced this personally. And like one time I had bought a set of, I used to buy my cousins scratch-off tickets for Christmas because that's what they liked. So I had gotten them and I had them sent in an envelope next to where I sat at the dining room table and ready, marked with their names on it for Christmas. So it was just like a couple weeks before Christmas that I'd gotten them, and I had them sitting by my spot on the table. So I knew exactly where it was and they didn't get lost. So come Christmas morning and I'm gathering up all the gifts to take to their house to have Christmas over there, the envelope's missing. Now, every single time I sat down at the dining room table which was a lot of times because I would fix food there and do whatever there. So I was always through there going by it, and always would check that the envelope was still sitting there, because we had cats in the house, and we know cats can be jerks and knock things off tables, etc. And so I always made sure this envelope was there. Christmas morning, this envelope's missing. And this is the only gift I had for them that year for Christmas, because that's what they wanted. And so be so frustrated how I didn't just, yeah, no, absolutely, Aaron. And again, it's gone. And I was just like, they're very skeptical people. So trying to explain this to them, they just thought Donna lost her mind, and, Donna was loopy, which, whatever. But I was so frustrated and angry, and just kind of tried to give my apologies and said, really, I had them. I don't know what happened to them, but as soon as they turn up, I will make sure you guys get them, and they're yours. So when they turn up, I'll let you know. I'm dead serious. I'm not lying. I did have them for you. Lo and behold, a week after Christmas was all done and over with, they turned up exactly in the same spot I had kept them every single day of the time, from the time I purchased them and put them in the envelope in that spot, until they disappeared. It turned up back in the same place, which was very visible and hard to miss. It was in a business envelope that just had the boys' names on them, and plain white envelope, and on a tablecloth. So it stood out, and it was sitting next to my placemat where I sat. So it wouldn't have been something I could have overlooked. And a week later, it turned up. Yeah, my mom moved it and thought it was a blast. Happens to me looking for my kid's savings bond in an envelope, heard a plop, there it was on the floor. Wow. So I got very, very frustrated by that. My Moonstone necklace I wear all the time. So I always wear this. I made the pendant myself many years ago. It was my first foray into jewelry making. It's my birthstone. I love the simplicity of the piece. So I always wear it. But once in a while, the chain breaks, and I don't always have the money right on hand to go buying a new chain for it, because I wear silver and it's got to be the right length, yada, yada. So, hi, Brenda. So at any rate, I had set the little moonstone piece on my vanity at a set spot where I knew, and every time I sat down on the vanity, I double checked it was still there, because it was small and I didn't want to have it get unintentionally knocked off by cats, whatever, and always validated it was there. And lo and behold, when I bought the chains for it finally and had a new chain to go string it on, and I'd really missed this wearing it, I always noticed when I didn't have it, it was gone. I tore apart everything in my room, moving furniture, you name it. Finally, and I used to have my mother's jewelry box sitting on top of my bureau. And I had very specific things I kept in there, more like the family heirloom pieces were in there, and things that were special to her were kept in her jewelry box, and I kept on my top of my bureau. And I'd already looked in there once and it wasn't in there, and something just said, you looked everywhere else, so why not go look in there again? Definition of insanity. And I went and looked, and sure enough, there it was inside her jewelry box. I would have no reason to have put it in there by myself. I didn't keep any of my active jewelry in there at all. So obviously I didn't do it. So things like that were very common in my house. No, the cat did not play with it, because I kept it on. So it was a stand that was made to put your rings on if you weren't wearing them, but it was like a silver dish, and it had like a silver cat or something on there, and you could put the rings on its tail, but it was in the dish part. And I had like a couple other special earrings in there and so forth. And I was always checking that it was still there. And that's the only place I put it, so that I knew where it was and I could check to validate it was still there. So I was always checking to make sure it didn't get knocked out of there and lost, whatever. And it had always been there until I got the new chains for it. And then lo and behold, it's gone. And I tore everything apart looking for this thing, and it turned up inside my mom's jewelry box, which big clue as to who did it, Jake, come on up. Come on, you're making a mess on my floor. Come on, get up off your legs now. Get up on the bed now. How about now? Now. I'm not stuttering. Get up on the bed. Now. Dot, dot, dot. Now. So here's another similar story to that. This is from a Reddit user. Now, I'm not familiar with the app Reddit, but I think it's like where people can write stories about different things. I'm not sure, but this woman wrote in, my sister died last September 5th. I was having all the company at my house that accompanies the funeral, out of town guests, people eating, commiserating, you know. My roommate got a crystal dish with a thing sticking up in the middle of it to put rings on. Jake, come on, you're gonna fall over. Get up on the bed before that happens, please. Now, get up on the bed now. Now. How about now? Just get up. What is your issue? You're not getting the cat food. Dang, dog. Now, no. Stop asking. Okay, so her sister died, and it sounds like she had the wake at her house, is what she's describing. She says, well, we cleaned up the kitchen before bed Saturday night, and I stripped and cleaned the counter where all the sweets had been being served. So bright and early the next morning, while hubby and I were the only ones in the underlined locked house, I found my sister's ankle bracelet on the otherwise empty and sparkling clean countertop, the one she had been wearing when I found her. Now, I don't know if her sister committed suicide or not. It doesn't say, but in any case, she found the body of her sister, and she was wearing this ankle bracelet when she was found. Reddit is a big community place for certain blogs or posts for different types of groups. For example, they will have dog parent groups, spiritual groups, or cooking groups. Oh, okay. Reddit is like a gossip column on hot topics in Hollywood. Or is it that the hot topics in Hollywood are the only parts of it that interest you, Aaron? So this ankle bracelet that her sister was wearing at the time that her body was found turned up on her kitchen counter that she left empty and clean and sparkling clean the night before going to bed. It turned up on her counter the next morning. When I listed on the medical examiner's papers as having come in with the body to the morgue, the one they were not able to explain where it went and why they couldn't return it to us. It's okay. I know where it is, right where she left it for me to find. So as you can see, it can be pretty much any object. And so like these things take many different forms. Any object is fair game for it. There was also a story of, now I looked high and low to find the actual copy of this story online. I remember seeing it. I saw an interview with this woman on some talk show where she was talking about her experiences, and she was talking like promoting a book she wrote about it. See, that's what I was saying. I know my Aaron. Jake, go ahead up. You're not having it what you want, so give it up. You don't get to always have your way. Sorry, but no. No, 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 nada, zero zilch, no cat food. But I will clean your eye out because it's gross. So anyways, I can tell you the story of her experiences because I do remember it. It always kind of stuck with me because she was very, very detailed in talking about it. Still haven't found the ring that I asked about months ago. Wow. So, okay, so this woman, she and her husband, they owned two houses side by side. They lived in the one, they rented out the other. There was one room in the house they really kept for storage stuff, and they kept it locked at all times. So no matter who lived there, like they were told, don't mess with this room at all. And they obviously weren't given the key to access it. And her husband kept his very valuable baseball card collection in there that he'd been collecting since childhood, and it meant the world to him and so forth. And so he had it stored in this room. Manifesting. Good for you. So they did have a renter there, and when I guess her husband went to check on his collection or something, but he went into this locked room, and his baseball card collection was missing. Now, of course, this caused a whole big hoo-ha with the boy, or not the boy, he was a young man living in the house that they were renting to, of like, did he steal it? He adamantly denied it, and he kept pointing out, look, the door was still locked. There's no way into the room from the outside of the house. You have the key, only key to this lock. There's no way I could have gotten in there. I didn't take it. He kept adamantly denying it. It caused such turmoil, he ended up moving out. Now, the woman then went on to say, as kind of a remembering, that, well, she went on to like clean the house after the dude left and moved out. And she started noticing, like, I guess, you know, those old houses that have kind of the molding around the top that is like a tiny shelf that runs around a room on top by the ceiling. So I guess this house had that in the living room, oddly. And so she said, you know, she was going in there and cleaning the place up from him living in the house in order to, you know, get it ready for the next renter, and started noticing different objects being there or disappearing when she went in each time to go and do a different aspect of cleaning, basically. Everything from knickknacks to weird coins to just weird things would either be there or suddenly weren't there before, but they were suddenly there the next time she went. And almost always they were up on these shelves of the molding. And then she started remembering that, is that what it's called? Crown molding? And then she started remembering a woman she'd rented to before the young man lived there. And it was this woman who she remembered that she had practiced sangria, and she thought for sure that there was the appearance and disappearance of all this stuff was related to her practicing sangria, and that also she might have been responsible for somehow stealing her husband's baseball card collection, which again, there was like no way in and out of this room. There was no window from the outside of the house into the room. The only door was locked with a padlock, and only her husband had the key. Nobody had tampered with it, but yet it was still missing. Picture rails, is that what they are? Yeah, I don't know. I know I've seen them before, but it's like shelves. Mainly up here, we see them around in kitchens more than like living rooms or whatever, but watch a lot of HGTV. So she thought it was something that this woman did to curse the house or something. Very, you know, superstitious in nature, but it, I guess, started escalating into bigger objects, including some like antique coin collection that, I mean, like it was an entire coin collection that was worth a lot of money. Santeria Sangria. Oh, okay. Whoops. Thank you. So one of the things that imported in was this antique coin collection that wasn't theirs. She has no idea where it came from, but it was like an entire antique coin collection with a lot of money, not something someone would just leave behind or anything. She initially tried excusing things away, but after a while she couldn't keep doing that because, you know, it was that much stuff was coming in and out of the house. She thought the house was haunted, or that, again, this woman had placed some curse on the house or something, even though things didn't end badly with the woman leaving and whatever, but she, again, being very superstitious, she got blamed. And there was some, even, I believe, I want to say some grave good or some part of a headstone or something from the local cemetery was there. And she really thought somebody might be breaking into the house and like hiding stuff in there as to explain all these things. But she wrote a book on her experiences, but for the life of me, I could not find the title to this book last night, nor her accounting of it. So what I'm telling you is just from memory, but it was like, this went on for quite some time, this coming and going antique buttons, things from the Civil War, artifacts like buttons from the uniforms, to shell casings, to the little metal balls that they would, not pellets, but and not cannonballs, but there's smaller ones that they've, would use during the war. And those would be found in there. I mean, all kinds of just non-related off the wall stuff kept being, like turning up. The next time she go, it would be gone and new things would be in its place. It ended up scaring her bad enough. They ended up selling the house because she thought for sure it was haunted or cursed, and she just couldn't tolerate it anymore because it just kept escalating. And the items were getting big. Musket balls. Thank you, Sandy and Tanya. The items were getting bigger in nature and more diverse. So she was, again, concerned about possible criminal activity happening when somehow somebody was breaking in the house, even though there was no signs of a break-in at any time, but she still was, had kind of an active imagination and had no other explanation for it. But they ended up selling the house because she just couldn't tolerate keeping it any longer. And even though it meant living with her mother-in-law for a while and such with her husband, she is kind of like, anything, but I can't keep doing this. No. And then they boarded the place up, and she was really afraid to sell it to anybody because of possibly passing on a curse. But at the same time, she didn't want to keep possession of it either. So she ended up selling it for like some ridiculously small price. And I think it went to paranormal investigators, perhaps. I don't know what happened from there. The story, I heard about it quite a while back. So I don't know what's happened with the property since then, or if there's been any reports of activity since she left, having any contact with it. But she did write a whole book about her experiences with it. It was interesting. So it can be any object from any time period, and, even things that are quite antique in nature, which, yeah, it makes you wonder is it coming from another parallel universe, perhaps, that the stuff is coming in from. So it doesn't always require a medium to be present to be the person who's bringing it through. It's just a lot of times, especially with the cases of seances, that's how it was happening, but it isn't a necessary thing to have it happen, if that makes sense. And, back when I was experiencing it, whilst I'm a psychic medium, that gift wasn't fully open to me yet. So I can't draw any parallel with that. And then my mom later admitted, yes, it was her. So at any rate, that was my experience with it. Sorry, I just heard a really weird noise. Almost sounded like a cat fighting or something. Come on up on the bed before you fall over. Or not. Oh, and I got to tell you, Sandy Miller, that after the last Willows bend, when you made that suggestion about the Black Pyramid in Alaska, I actually saw some sort of did you hear it, Ted? I don't know what it was because I was talking when I heard it. You guys heard it too. So no, that wasn't just me. And I know my next door neighbors that are usually partying it up aren't home. So it wasn't that, whatever it was. And my window's shut too. So you heard it through like the walls. Come on up. No cat food. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. You've been at it for almost an hour now. Enough is enough. Stop the nonsense, as I always tell you, and get up on the bed and lay down or lay on your blanket on the floor. Stop your nonsense and get up. The answer is no. It's been no. It's not changed at all, Jake. The true willfulness of a Dalmatian. The answer is no. No. Anyways. No, the woman in that story wasn't psychic, Aaron, just as a FYI. Yeah, he's not going to get any tonight if he keeps it up because he's being a brat. So, Sandy, I saw some ad for a show on that Black Pyramid in Alaska thing. I thought that was interesting. It was the same night you mentioned it. So, as far as next week's topics, for episode 159 on the 27th, next week on Monday, we have the Black Pyramid in Alaska, the bizarre cases of mass hysteria, deathbed visitation, or psychic archaeology as topics to vote on. Come on, doofus, get up on the bed or go lay down. One or the other, up or over. You are not getting any cat food. Absolutely not. So Sandy wants the Black Pyramid because she suggested it, which makes sense. Katie says psychic archaeology. Still like mass hysteria, says Lori. Got it. Pyramid, says Tanya. Got it. I never heard of it before, so I don't know anything about it. I just thought it was interesting that the same night Sandy suggested it, that I see a commercial for it. Psychic abilities. Psychic archaeology, you mean, Nancy? Or no, who said that? Kim said that. Just validate, Kim, that you wanted psychic archaeology. That's the only topic with psychic in the name of it. Nancy says psychic archaeology. Sandy says Black Pyramid. Marianne says mass hysteria. Mary wants psychic archaeology. Ted says mass hysteria. Wow, we got like a three-way tie going on right now. Karen says archaeology. Okay, it's broken. Yes, okay. Gotcha, Kim. Yeah, I can imagine what that topic deals with, even though I've not ever researched it for psychic archaeology. It does sound really interesting. It would probably be kind of the same thing as identifying and tuning into the energy of a missing person, I would think. But we'll find out if it gets chosen or when it gets chosen. So we got 3, 6, and 5 is 11. Stacy's vote. Well, actually, I'm showing 14 watching, so there's 3 people who haven't voted yet. So we have the Black Pyramid in Alaska, bizarre cases of mass hysteria, deathbed visitation, or psychic archaeology. Go ahead and get up. You're not getting what you want, so you may as well give up the ghost, dude. Really. Psychic sounds interesting. Yeah, it does sound interesting. I'm interested in it as well. Of course, I love archaeology and I'm a psychic, so there you go. Yeah, Aaron, what's your topic vote? We are voting now, yes. Yeah, Aaron, pay attention. Where'd you go? So we have Aaron, we have Stacy, and there's one other person who hasn't voted yet because I'm showing 14 watching and I have, what, 11 votes, did I say? 5, let's see, 8, and 10. Yeah, I've got 11 votes and 14 watching. Well, I'm putting my knee up, Jake, because you're obviously not getting up and I'm hurting myself. Exactly, Mary, tell them. Psychic archaeology or pyramids, okay? So far, psychic archaeology is winning. Speak now, Aaron, or forever hold your peace. My hip hurts. What? I don't have anything for you. You're not getting what you want. You're not listening to me, so go away. Go bother somebody else. Nope. Okay, well, he's not answering, so I'm going to say, you missed the whole show, Yvonne. It starts at 8 o'clock Eastern time, sweetheart. Voting for next week's topic, for next week's show. Okay, so what's your choice, Aaron? The Black Pyramid in Alaska, bizarre cases of mass hysteria, deathbed visitation, or psychic archaeology? Psychic archaeology. Okay, gotcha. So that's the winner for this week then, is psychic archaeology. Circle it so I know what I'm doing next week. I can write it out over here too. There we go. So book group Wednesday night, 8 o'clock Eastern time. We are still working on the book, The Nature of Personal Reality, the Seth Speaks book. Yeah, and I may or may not yet go live Friday night for readings. I haven't decided this far ahead yet since we're at the beginning of the week, but I'll let you guys know, obviously. So it's all right, Aaron. I will let it go this time. This time. So thank you all for coming. I appreciate each and every one of you. Lots of love to all of you. Have a wonderful rest of the week, and I will see those who are interested for book group on Wednesday night, 8 o'clock Eastern time. Same bat time, same bat channel, as always. So thank you guys for coming. Love you all. Good night, everybody. See you Wednesday night.